to see you.
Good to see you. Listen, I want to talk about, I know you want to, and I want to talk about it as well, the spectre of anti-Semitism in your native country, Ireland. Let's do that in a second, but I hope you don't mind if we kick off on what happened in Gorton and Denton last night, a sort of triumph for the Green Party. And the leader of the Green Party, Zack Polanski, is a man, and the party themselves, so does the new MP for Gorton and Denton, firmly believe that a woman can have a penis. Here is Zack Polanski confirming that strange view, in my view, to Piers Morgan. Just take a look at that.
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes. It's going to take them a long time on the National Health Service to get rid of it, but that's another separate problem.
All right. I think we'll leave it on a woman can have a penis. People can
I think you're lacking nuance and complexity about a pretty complicated
Not really. You couldn't have been clearer.
I'm clear, because actually when you want to look at the science...
You were crystal clear. Ask a simple question.
But you're laughing at it, which I think demeans trans people.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What have you got against trans people? Why are you punching down? Why are you not saying
nothing against
the real
trans
problem
people?
in this
I've already
country?
told you that I think trans people...
You sound like you have a huge problem with trans people.
No. It sounds to me like you don't understand what a woman is, which I think is a huge problem for someone leading a party in this country.
A woman is a gender.
Sorry?
You said, what's a woman?
No,
a woman is a gender.
Biological
and gender
female.
is complicated.
No.
Gender is a spectrum.
It's not complicated. A woman is a biological
gender a spectrum? Is it that binary?
Do you think people are born male and female?
Not necessarily.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think it's more complicated than that.
It's not more complicated, Zack.
Well, it's not more complicated than that if you're a TV show host who wants to make it binary and ridiculous.
Zack, you're going to have to work
if
this
you want to
stuff
have
out,
a nuanced conversation that actually reflects science,
you know, when I asked you if you
and
want to
information...
when I asked you if you want to be Prime Minister, there is not a cat in hell's chance of you ever becoming Prime Minister if you don't know what a woman is. The UK Supreme Court has made it crystal clear.
But that's not the Supreme Court's job. The Supreme Court's job is to look at legislation
lay down the law
and then make a legal ruling.
OK. So you know more than the Supreme Court?
Well, yes, actually, in this case, yes, I did.
So, Graham, I like that. My favourite bit of that is when Piers starts laughing, and Zack, you know, you believe a woman can have a penis. Piers starts laughing. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? I'll tell you why we're laughing, Zack, because it is comically absurd. Now, you know, much as we can laugh at that idiot Polanski and his idiot party, they won a stunning victory last night, and it is projected that they could win as many as 100 seats at the next election. Certainly, a Conservative estimate is about 35 seats, and they are going to carry Zack Polanski's absurd views on women having penises into Parliament and become very influential. Kind of worrying, don't you think?
Well, I mean, you heard him there. Like what he did there in the Piers Morgan interview is he ran through the most common trans talking points, which are all, once you pick at them, are absolute nonsense. No, it's not more complicated than that. You know, you're trying to make it complicated because you kind of like to corral all your equally mad friends in the Green Party who believe in this stuff. You know, it is nonsense. And he also said a very revealing thing there. If you listen, he said, he said, can a woman have a penis? And he said something like, yeah, and it'll take them a long time to get rid of it. You know, the NHS. It is like, what are you talking about? You know, that's not healthcare, you idiot. And you know, it just proves to me that Polanski is what he always was. He's a grifter. You know, he started off hypnotizing women, promising them he could make their breasts grow larger, and now he seems to be achieving a similar thing with the British public. You know, but like those women, they're going to be very disappointed. He is insane, and he's also indulging in one of the most dangerous things a left-winger can indulge in, which is cozying up to Islamist fundamentalists, you know, and I think it's really worrying, especially with the rise of anti-Semitism, which I know we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we are, and he called me old-fashioned, Graham, but when he says a woman is a gender, yeah, okay, it's a gender.
What does that mean?
It's also a sex. You know,
Yeah,
a
no,
woman, a female is a sex. Now, semantically, we seem to have reached a point where people like Zack Polanski have managed to separate the meaning of your biological sex to what they call gender. It used to be, when I was younger, gender meant the same as biological sex, and in my book it still does. A woman is your sex. You are born with the sex, female sex. That is the point. So he's saying, oh, it's just a construct. It's just a construct. This nonsensical thinking should be consigned to the scrap heap of history, but Polanski and his Green Goblin maniacs are going to put it first and forefront on the political agenda again, aren't they?
Yeah, and you notice how men are never a gender, you know, or men are never called cervix havers or uterus havers or pregnant people, or, you know, I mean, it would be funny, but these are terms even the NHS is using, the most demeaning, demoralizing terms for women. And you know, and these guys are kind of spreading it to the extent that it may get another few years in this country when it's dying everywhere else. I don't know if you saw, but the New York Times recently published a major story about how trans healthcare, you know, the penis that Zach wants to get rid of, is actually, you know, a contradiction in terms. There's no such thing as trans healthcare. You know, they are mutilating, sterilizing these people who are very vulnerable and have been told by people like Zack Polanski that if they cut off their penis, they'll magically become a woman. It's outrageous. And one of the reasons it's been happening is because, as you say, gender and sex have been muddled together in such a way that no one really knows what's being talked about.
They're the same thing, Graham. They're the same thing. Gender and sex.
If you want to if you want to stay planted on firm ground, never use the word gender. Just say sex.
Yeah.
You know, and every time they try and change the subject to gender, ask them, what does gender mean? Where is my gender? Where in my brain is my gender?
Yeah.
You know? And that'll shut them up pretty fast.
And also put them in their place and tell them, here's how many genders there are. 2.
Yeah, I know, but you see, the thing is, they will muddle that and they'll say to you, oh, no, there's millions of identities and that's what gender is. So always say sex, and they won't be able to get past you.
I'm going to do that from now on. But, you know, also, I think gender means the same as sex. So I'm with you on that one. Just a quick word of what you just alluded to, Graham. You said that you thought it was very dangerous the way the Green Party courted the Islamic vote in Gorton and Denton. I mean, they were even speaking in Urdu. Their campaign was very much free Palestine, pro-Gaza, anti-Israel. Kind of disturbing and sinister to see that as a platform in an election, a by-election in Great Britain.
Yeah, well, I mean, the response to October 7th, 2023 has been one of the most bizarre things I've seen since the trans movement. You know, the Jewish state was invaded. Young girls were killed and raped at a music festival. Families were killed in front of each other while their killers filmed it on GoPros, phoned their mothers and said how happy they were that they were killing Jews. And the British public and the Irish public, which I find even more bizarre, immediately supported the people who did it. I've never seen anything like it. It goes against everything I thought human beings were capable of. And the fact that it is not only did Israel not get sympathy for this horrific attack, but people attacked them. I was in London a couple of days after October 7th, and I happened to go into Westminster, and people were already out on the street supporting Hamas. So I think that it's incredibly dangerous. I think Zack Polanski is an absolute moron who will really harm this country if he gets much further. He's got to be stopped for all manner of reasons. He's the face of the new left, which is losing supporters across the board. No one wants any of the stuff they're selling, and yet they kind of struggle on simply because so many people are so disinterested in politics. you know. And if people want to, make sure they don't, like people think it's kind of funny or interesting to have a crazy leader. It's not. It's not. It's very dangerous.
Well,
And
they don't
these
just
are
have
dangerous times,
They don't just have a crazy leader; they're a crazy party. And you called Zack
They're
Polanski.
insane.
You called Zack Polanski a moron. I think that's very unfair to morons. Let's move on and talk about the anti-Semitism in Ireland. I'm reading this that RTE, the big TV channel there, will now broadcast two Ireland games against Israeli teams, but it seems to be doing so reluctantly, emphasising that the only reason it is doing so is because it's legally obliged to. So these calls to boycott Israeli sports events in Ireland, even televising them, continue apace. I mean, is there a big anti-Semitism problem in Ireland?
Oh, despite everything that I just said about the UK, I think it's worse in Ireland. It is, and also it just seems to be sports hacks. They for some reason, every sports journalist in Ireland turns out to be a Nazi. It's incredible. And also, I mean, when your introduction there, RTE saying they won't broadcast.
Well, they will, but only because they're legally obliged to.
Yes, absolutely. But what kind of television company is saying things like that out loud? They simply believe that everyone else agrees with them about the morality of the Gaza conflict. It's like, no, it wasn't a genocide. It was actually a very targeted war. So like when they say we're going to under pressure, we're going to show it. You're the national TV channel. You're the national TV channel. Of course, you're going to show it. It's Ireland versus another team, but left-wing activism has become so normalised in Irish society that no one thinks anything of it. It's extraordinary.
So you have many people in Ireland who think that when Aston Villa, or rather the local police in Birmingham, banned Jewish football fans from attending a game against Villa, the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, the people around Ireland, or many people in Ireland, think that was a very statesmanlike, excellent decision.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. I mean, I don't quite entirely blame the Irish people. Again, they're being let down by a media that has been stringing them along for years. Famously, Ireland has the very controversial practice of self-ID, and that's simply because the media just looked the other way while the vote was happening and didn't inform people about what it was going to be. So Ireland is really suffering because of its media, but also, I don't know whether you know this, but in a lot of TV, in a lot of households in Ireland, we get BBC. And the BBC has lied about, or has broken its own editorial guidelines on the Gaza conflict over 1,500 times. So people are getting their information from basically stenographers for Hamas,
Unbelievable. Listen, great. Can I ask you a personal question? You're over there in the States now, aren't you? You were, of course, famously, notoriously cancelled, once arrested for daring to post something that the trans community considered to be offensive, arrested by armed coppers at Heathrow Airport. So you were cancelled for a long time. You were never cancelled on this channel and never would be. But how are you getting on now? Have you managed to revive your once glittering career?
Well, I'm writing more than I have been able to in years, because while I was in the UK, the harassment was so constant that I just never got a breath to actually sit down and write something. So we've written a film and we've written a TV series, like a whole TV series. I've never done that before. But what I mean is, before it getting commissioned. So it's just kind of great and new and strange and far from, the people who cancelled me and the so-called friends who look the other way.
Yeah. So, do you find in the States that people are far more amenable to your worldview?
Oh, yeah, they don't care. I mean, no one cares over here. It's so like if you saw what ordinary Americans, they barely, like a lot of people, they barely know all this stuff is happening, you know?
Yeah.
And thank God that the Trump administration have been so persistent in saying, yes, it's happening. Kids are being hurt, you know, men should not be going into women's toilets. Men should not be in women's sports. These are very basic things to say. And thank God the Trump administration is saying them. I feel a lot safer here. Did you hear about that guy in Canada who was fined $750,000 because he said he wouldn't teach gender ideology? You know?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's
I'll tell you what, Graham, when old Trump got in, was it a couple of years ago, and all my, I used to live in Los Angeles, so all my left-wing Democrat American friends said, we're coming to live in Britain, we're gonna come over there, we're gonna get away from it. I said, well, I'll see you at the airport because I'm gonna be flying the other way. I'm gonna go to back to America. How about, just one last question, how about a Father Ted Christmas special? What do you think?
Oh God, no. I mean, look, it would have made sense as a musical, which it nearly was.
Yeah, because you nearly did that, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, hat trick, and Jimmy Mulville basically told me to gave me £200,000 to walk away because they wanted me to, you know, collaborate in the smearing of my own name. So I said no, and they just dumped it. You know, it's one of the most unbelievable acts of vandalism that I can think of. You know, because it was a very good piece. It was really, really funny, and the songs were great.
Well, you know, the cancellation of you, somebody who contributed some of the greatest comedy we've ever seen on television, remains a massive disgrace. It really does.